Jesus. What a mind job. So, you're here to save the world. What do you say to something like that? Okay, I am recording. If you saw my review of The Terminator, I am recording right after that my review for Terminator 2 Judgment Day. This does qualify for something in the book, but like I said, they both technically qualify for something in the book because challenge number 46 is a film with your favorite actor or actress. Arnold Schwarzenegger is in both films. Before we get too deep into this review, I want to tell you that these reviews are completely unedited and unfiltered. I don't go back and re-edit because if I went to go edit things, it would take too long, and I'm such a perfectionist, would never post. And so adult things are going to come out of my mouth. These are completely unedited. I talk about adult things. There was a lot of sex talk at one point in the last review because of the fantastic sex scene in that film. So adult things come out of my mouth. So if your kids are in the room, you probably want to ask them to leave or put your headphones on. And the last disclaimer is, just so you know, I will give spoilers away, especially for the movie that I'm reviewing. But sometimes I go off on tangents and give spoilers away for other films. Have no fear. There's going to be a whole list of every single film I mention underneath this review. And I will have a header that says spoilers. So if you want to avoid spoilers for any movies that maybe you haven't seen and you don't want to spoil it for you, look at the header that says spoilers and you'll see the list of movies that I actually give spoilers away for. Not every movie I mention will give away a spoiler. So let's move on, because the last review was like an hour 40, and this movie is a lot longer. Not trying to be a 5-hour review. These are more like podcasts than like anything you really need to see. In the last video, I did have a little something you needed to see. I showed a little something, but anyway, I don't know if we'll have that in this. So let's just get into it. Challenge number 46, I already said it. A film with your favorite actor or actress. Arnold Schwarzenegger is absolutely my favorite. Movie title, Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Year released, 1991. So, what was that, 8 years, 9 years, something, 7 years, 8 years after the original? I'm not that great at math. I mean, I'm not like spot on with math. Aspect ratio 2.39:1. Running time. Okay. I appreciate and love and watch the director's cut. So the director's cut is 2 hours and 32 minutes. Genre, again, I only put like I said in my last review, IMDb has gotten too crazy with like 50 genres for one film. I only put the ones that I think are pertinent. When I was a kid, action-adventure was one genre. So action-adventure and science fiction. Rated R. Date challenge completed. It's after 1, so yesterday, April 24th, 2025. My rating, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. Love this movie. One of the best sequels of all time. Quite possibly supersedes the original. Starring, too many people to put on this tiny little freaking line. Why do you give me a tiny line for starring? Okay, let's go down the list. Arnold Schwarzenegger, again, like I said, favorite actor. Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, Robert Patrick, Earl Bowen, again, Joe Morton. I love Joe Morton. Let's see. Janet Goldstein, I've seen her in a bunch of things. Xander Berkeley, I love Xander Berkeley. He has such a small role. I didn't know it was Xander Berkeley until after I knew who he was, and then came back and watched this movie and go, oh, that's Xander Berkeley. Love him in this movie. I guess that's all that I put. Oh, Michael Biehn is in the director's version. He's not in the original version, but yes, that's what I put. Directed by James Cameron, produced by James Cameron, written by James Cameron. Thank you very much, James Cameron. This is just a fantastic film. I love a lot of your work. Not all, but a lot. And this is just fantastic. Also written by William Wisher, who did additional, if you watch my review of The Terminator, he was not credited as a writer. He was credited as doing additional dialogue for the original. In this one, he is absolutely credited as a writer. William Wisher. Music by Brad Fiedel again. He tops himself because some of the stuff he does, I'll talk about it. Some of the stuff he does in this is brilliant, and his music was innovative and wonderful for the original. So he outdoes himself by changing just enough to make the score like wholly new and wonderful. Awards received. It actually won Oscars. Multiple. So, Terminator 2 Judgment Day won an Oscar for Best Sound, an Oscar for Sound Effects Editing, and an Oscar for Visual Effects, as well as an Oscar for Makeup. Stan Winston, who is just amazing. And again, like I said in my review of The Terminator, he's just one of those sparks in a million. Like sparks in a million. Knew what he was doing, was innovative with what he did, and just made some beautiful art that he left us. And thankfully, we get to continue to see today. Why did you choose this particular film? Arnold is, again, I do not think he is the best actor in Hollywood. That's not why he's my favorite actor. He's my favorite actor for so many other reasons than just that. I think he does a great job acting, especially in the first one. Watch my review of Terminator 1, and I talk about how he, like, canonized the way to behave as a Terminator and reinvents that in this film. Like, reinvents that because he's playing the Terminator, but he's playing a different character. I have notes to the effect. We'll get there. I just love Arnold. I've seen this so many times. You know, at one point, there were days where I would literally watch this, eat lunch, watch it again, possibly watch it again. There were times I know I saw it 2, possibly 3 times in one day. I watched this movie so many times that for years, one of my brothers says I could never watch that movie again because you just constantly watched it. You watched it so many times. I watched this movie probably more than any Schwarzenegger film, and that's saying something. I watched this movie so many times, and I know every line by heart. Everything. Have you seen it before? I just said yes, absolutely seen it plenty of times. Saw it in theaters. I don't think I saw it. I'm pretty sure I did not because I was 10. I'm pretty sure I did not see it in theaters, although part of me feels like I saw it in a drive-in when I was a kid, maybe with my dad. I feel like I did, but maybe I'm wrong about that. I don't think I saw it in the original, but I definitely saw it when it was re-released multiple times. I've seen this in theaters, yes, and I do own it. I own both versions, the original theatrical and then the director's cut, which is what I'm reviewing tonight. Would you recommend this movie? Absolutely, one of the best sequels of all time. It's so wonderful. It's such it's fantastic to show people what a sci-fi, the boundaries a sci-fi flick can push and go beyond. Love this movie. Which character, I've said before, hate this question, which character were you most able to identify with or connect with in what way? I changed it to which character would you like to play? I would love to play the T-1000. I'm a nice person at heart in my life. And I guess that kind of lends me to wanting to be something else, lends me to wanting to play the bad guy. I would love to play the devil in a film or in a play or something, JB or something. But a lot of times, especially in this, the bad guy appeals to me more. I would love to play the T-100, but I could easily play the Terminator in this film. I would easily be able to play that type of character, although I don't look like Schwarzenegger at all, like 0%. The character I could probably do easy, but the villain appeals to me more. I'm sure they would never cast me in a film. If they did this film now and I were a working actor, I doubt they would cast me in anything. It's maybe one of the side characters, Enrique or something. Best line or memorable quote, "Hasta la vista, baby." I mean, Like I said in my review of the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger once said, you never really know what line is going to be that line. And "Hasta la vista, baby," absolutely, I remember that being the line that the kids were saying. He'll live. I love that line. It's absolutely memorable for me. He'll live. Come with me if you want to live. This is the movie. Again, watch my review of the Terminator. This is the movie that made the original line from the original movie that Kyle Reese says, "Come with me if you want to live." This is the movie that made that a line, like famous. Okay, that, when Arnold says it, you're like, oh my God, that's from the original. And that made it a line. Whereas from the original, it wasn't like this big deal, whereas now it is. Were you surprised by the ending? What would you do differently? I don't remember being surprised by much of the ending of this. I think everything fell into place kind of like it should. Was I sad by the ending? There's a sad part at the ending. Yes, absolutely. Would I change something in the end? Yes, I'll talk about that. There is something I would change about the end. But I'll talk about that when it gets there. So I don't remember being surprised by this ending at all. Would you like to see this star challenge themselves with a different genre? What genre do you feel they would do well in? Well, Arnold's done almost everything. I mean, I don't need to see Arnold in a musical. That is not something he should do. I've seen him in a Western. The villain, fantastic. I think it's so fun. I've seen him in comedy, because that was a comedy, and he did comedy after that. Twins, Junior. I love Last Action Hero. He did comedy. He's done drama, which I think is fantastic. Aftermath is wonderful. Maggie, even Sabotage to a degree. I mean, he's done a lot in his career, and I think he's wonderful. I think he's, for somebody who says they're not an actor, he's very versatile and he does a good job. Do I think he's Oscar worthy in his performances? No, but he's still great. He still does a great job. He's still entertaining. He's still wonderful. I think he's good. Anything else you'd like to? Oh, I would like to say on that question, I said in my review of the Terminator, I would love to have seen Arnold play more villains, because I think at this point, Arnold's acting career is pretty much, I don't think he's doing much anymore. I don't think he's going to do anything else. And if he does, it'll be one-off fluff type of thing. I don't think he's he's 80 or almost 80, I don't, 2 years away. He's 78. So, or he's going to be 78 this year. I don't think he's looking to do more, but I would love to have seen him do more villains, because I loved him in the Terminator. And to a degree, Sabotage has that edge to it that's kind of, is he good? Is he bad? I would just love to have seen him play more villains. Anything else you'd like to add? I have plenty of notes. Let's get to them, because it's already 13, almost 14 minutes. This little note that I always read with you. The light is bad here. With designer loans and over $1 million spent on costuming, The Devil Wears Prada in 2006 made quite a fashion statement. Okay. Okay. You can't do much. How do you make that little film fact match the challenge, your favorite actor or actress? It's kind of hard to do that, because everybody has their own opinion. What is their favorite actor or actress? Okay, let's move on. Little side note. I have a complete set. One of my brothers, I think it was for one of my birthdays, not Christmas. One of my brothers gave me a complete set of Terminator 2 trading cards, like the complete set. And I have it still. I love it. Like, every once in a while I'll pull it out and look at them. They're awesome. I remember collecting the trading cards for the original Batman, 1989. But I never realized that they continued to have trading cards for films even into the 90s. This is 91. I didn't realize that this film had them. And so in my adult life, he gave these trading cards, a complete set, to me as a gift. One of the birthday gifts that I still treasure and still have and still love and still look at every once in a while. I'm getting a little bit of phlegm, which is bothering my throat. Because I just was talking for like 2 hours, almost 2 hours doing the review of the other one, so I've got a little something in my throat. I remember being insanely excited about this film. Like I was 10 years old and still like, Terminator 2's coming out. Terminator 2's coming out. I don't think I was old enough to see it in the theaters. I remember my brother, which came out the year before, Kindergarten Cop. I remember my brother, my older brother, being able to go to the theater and seeing Kindergarten Cop, and then he came home and talking about, Arnold sings E-I-E-I-O, and some other things that he said. I remember him saying those things because he got to go to the movie to see them, but I didn't. And I'm pretty sure that's the way this was. He got to go see Terminator 2 in the theater, and I didn't. Until years later when they re-released it. Instead of reading the opening title like we do, or the opening sequence like we do in the first one, I love that now we have a narration by Sarah Connor. Well done. Very well done. By she, I mean Linda Hamilton. In my other reviews, I've talked about how there are different types of narration. God, I don't want to spend 1,000 hours on this. But there are different types of narration. There's a narration that takes you out of the story, that disrupts the story, very much Dances with Wolves. And then there's a narration that keeps you in the emotion of the story, keeps you going. It's part of the story, Shawshank Redemption. Linda Hamilton does a really good job of skirting the line of both. It kind of takes you out of the story a little bit because she's talking about her emotions, but she's also trying to keep you in the realm of the story because she is a part of the film and it is her emotions. So it's a really cool blend of the two. There's not a whole lot of narration, but what little there is in the beginning is a really nice blend of those two types of narration. She does a great job. The future scenes, again, look great. Still rear projection. I had a lot to say in the review of the Terminator about rear projection. James Cameron is a big fan of rear projection special effects. Who is this actor who plays John Connor as an adult? You know what? Is it going to tell me on IMDb? It probably won't because he doesn't have a line. He doesn't do anything. Old John Connor, it is. Michael Edwards. Who the fuck is Michael Edwards? Michael Edwards. I don't know him. He hasn't done anything that I've seen. No. He hasn't done anything that I've seen. Okay, so the reason I bring it up is because he looks great as John Connor. I don't know anything about him as an actor, but he looks great as an older John Connor. I believe, in my humble opinion, that, I should probably say, this Terminator shirt, this is a Terminate Hate. This was a fundraiser that Arnold did, and I bought one, so I wanted to wear this for this review. Anyway, back to, in my humble opinion, I don't think we've had an adult John Connor in the film franchise, the entire film franchise, that I felt did justice to the character. I like Christian Bale. He's a fantastic actor. He's done some wonderful work. I love him. I don't think he was right for John Connor. I think he could have been if he tried. I don't think he tried enough. I don't appreciate what he did in Salvation, Terminator Salvation. It did not feel John Connor to me. And I can't stand... I'm not going to badmouth. There were a couple other people that played John Connor that I just can't stand. No, it was so wrong. Can we not do that? I do not believe we'd had a great adult John Connor at all yet. And, Dark Fate moves away from John Connor. It kills John Connor in the beginning and then moves away from that. So, good. I'm glad let's not just stick with John Connor. Let's move on and do something a little different, which I appreciated. It's just a question of which one of them will reach them first. So, if you try to... Yes, you've seen this 1,000 times, Elijah. But if you try to forget that, put on an audience hat, put on new audience hat, and stick with where we're at in the filmmaking. Let's try to do that the entire time and not know that you have seen this 1,000 times. And when she says, it's just a question of which one will find him first, you don't know. Forget that you've seen the preview for this movie, the trailer for this movie. Forget that you've seen this movie 1,000 times. As the audience, you don't know. Say you lived on a desert island and I'm showing you this movie. You don't know which one's good, which one's bad. And you just saw the Terminator, where Arnold Schwarzenegger's bad. So here's Arnold Schwarzenegger, you're expecting him to be the bad one. And I like that. I like that a lot. I love the music. The music is... I already said, he reinvented the music for this. And what I mean by that is Brad Fidel in the first one, the music is very in your face and mechanical. Like I said, the rumor is he was like banging on pots and pans in his kitchen to get the sound right. So it's very mechanical, Anyway, this soundtrack has a lot more, a softer, melodic tone, orchestra tone to it. It's softer. This whole story is more about human emotions and emotion, not just from the humans, but the Terminator himself, or one of the Terminators. So the music matches the film, as in it softens itself. It's less mechanical-like. And it's very well done. If you really just listen to it and go, wow, this is it's the same notes, but it's very different than the first one. And rightly so, because it matches the movie. God, sometimes you try, what is the quote? The comparison is the thief of joy. Sometimes you really try not to compare yourself. Sometimes it's really hard not to. And when I realized that Schwarzenegger is 43 when he made this film, when he filmed this film, he was 43. I'm 43, about to be 44 in a month. It's hard sometimes to just like, God, he's just so massive and beautiful in this film, and I've never looked like that. Like, I've never been that beautiful and imposing and like just massive. Like, I'm a big guy, but he's just, wow. Somehow watching the original, he's like, oh my God, he's huge in the original. But then watching this, he's still big, but leaner and looks better in this, in my opinion. So I saw behind the scenes at one point. I don't know where, maybe in the making of, maybe in a YouTube video. I don't remember exactly where, but I saw the behind the scenes, and sometimes when you see something, you just can never ever unsee it. And Schwarzenegger in this beginning scene in the bar, he's supposed to be naked, but filming the film, he was wearing these loud ass neon Hawaiian fucking board shorts. And when you see that, and you see him fighting these guys in those fucking board shorts, you can never unsee it. And unfortunately, I have seen it and can never unsee it. So every time I see this scene, I can just, in my mind's eye, I can see the fucking board shorts, the Hawaiian, loud ass Hawaiian board shorts that he wears when they filmed this scene, this whole bar fight scene. What? Some. Oh, same size. So this Fat Boy, this 1991 gorgeous fucking Harley Davidson Fat Boy, this is I feel like this is probably the movie that made the Fat Boy as famous as it is even to today. Because the Fat Boy started, Harley Davidson, the first time they made the Fat Boy was in 1990. This is a 1991 Fat Boy, so it was only the second year that they even made it. I mean, look at it. It looks different, but it's still obviously a soft tail. It's still beautiful. The tires are the same size, which nowadays the tires are not the same size on a Fat Boy. The back tire is huge and the front tire is normal. But if you look at this Fat Boy, the tires are the same. The paint job is great. The bike itself is just gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. And this is the movie that made it so iconic. I would love to have a 91 Fat Boy. I know that the CCs are not as high as like on my bike. I think mine's a 114, so it's probably 1686, I believe. And back then, the Fat Boy didn't have that many CCs. I don't know what it was. A 107, maybe less. But it's just a beautiful bike. It's just great. Would love to have one. I love that everybody's having this reaction to him naked. It's so cool because we didn't get to see that really in the first one. I mean, those punks were wash day tomorrow, nothing clean, right? You know, that kind of thing. But here we get like the women's reaction, everybody's reaction, because he's walking into a bar. I love that. It's great. Still, Arnold is still, watch my review of the first one. I talk about how he innovates the acting for a Terminator, and still his acting is amazing in this film. Excuse me. He's just by far the best Terminator ever. Everybody who's played a Terminator, he is still the best. He's still the best. And for a self-professed non-actor, he does a great job acting as a Terminator. His non-reaction to their attempts to hurt him, stab him, hit him, you know, his non-reaction to it is just gorgeous. I love it. I love it. He's so a Terminator. He's so a machine. It's wonderful. He is like the ultimate badass in this movie. Because now we get to see him as a... Now we know who he is. He's a Terminator. And we have the background of the original Terminator and who he was and what he's done and how relentless he is. And so now we get this ultimate badass in this film. We don't know yet that he's the good guy. We just know he's just amazing. Badass. Bad to the bone. Love that song. How appropriate, how wonderful. I love that that's the song that they chose. They could have chosen 100 songs. But I feel like this song fits perfectly. When he takes the glasses... Okay, so this does a great job of throwing in bits of comedy, whereas the original... I don't think they tried to throw in as much comedy. Once or twice, there are little things that might be comical. In this one, they purposely throw in certain things that are just enough comic to get a laugh, but not fucking T3, where it was all about... T3 might as well have been a fucking SNL skit. I did not appreciate T3. It's probably my least favorite of all of them. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, because I didn't appreciate the casting. I didn't. There were multiple casting that I did not appreciate. The constant ridiculous trying to go for a laugh just doesn't do it for me. I love Arnold. I think he did a great job. I just think that's my least favorite because it just went off the rails, and I didn't appreciate that. This gets laughs, but not like comedy sketch laughs. These little things, like him going for the glasses, is a chuckle. It's not an out laugh. We don't want an out laugh. This is an action film. We get a chuckle, and it's perfect, and it's great when he goes for the glasses. Anyway, oh, I wrote this note now. Forget the trailer. Be in the movie. And when we first see the T-1000, there is no mistaking he is a Terminator. Now, Sarah has already said that they've sent someone back to protect him and someone back, or a Terminator to kill him and someone to protect him. We don't know which is which. She doesn't specifically say that they're both Terminators. She doesn't specifically say that, which is good. She doesn't say who's who, which is also good. But as a filmmaker, he is making it very clear Arnold is a Terminator. We know him from the original. And Robert Patrick, the T-1000, is absolutely a Terminator. When we first see him, no mistaking, he is a Terminator. We don't know if he's good or bad yet. They both kill people in their opening scenes. They're both one track minded. They're both obviously Terminators. Edward Furlong, talk about a complete unknown. I didn't see that film. I don't know. Let's not go off on too much of a tangent. I don't know that singer. Bob Dylan. I may know some of his songs, but I wouldn't know that they were his songs. But just talking about a complete unknown, somebody who nobody knew, Edward Furlong. James Cameron he admits he took a long shot. Here we're making $100 million movie, which is unheard of in 1991. Unheard of. $100 million fucking dollar movie. He has interviewed child actor after child actor after child actor, and we're talking established child actor film, TV. Studios want him to pick one of those, and he goes outside of that and finds this kid who has never acted in his life, Edward Furlong, who is actually living with he's not living with his parents. I can't remember who he's living with. He's not quite an orphan, I don't think, but I know he's not living with his parents. So he finds this kid who's never acted in his entire life. And James Cameron takes a shot in the fucking dark, could destroy the film, could destroy his career, his credibility, and casts a complete unknown. Nobody knew. He'd never done anything else. Nobody knew who he was. Cast John Connor. Edward Furlong. And this whole storyline hinges on John Connor's relationship with the Terminator and with his mom. So it hinges on, even though he's not the star of the film, it hinges on his character. Let's say more about that later. But Edward Furlong, wow, Edward Furlong. Xander Berkeley, I fucking love Xander Berkeley. And like I said before, I didn't even know it was Xander Berkeley until years later when I realized who he was and saw him in so many other things and love him from 24 and Heat and so many other things that he did, A Few Good Men. And then I go back and watch this and I go, oh my God, that one quick little scene, he has two little scenes, Xander Berkeley, holy crap, or three, he has a couple little scenes, but I didn't realize it was Xander Berkeley. But I will say that his line was absolutely memorable before I even knew it was him. What's an emergency? Hang on, I'll get right on it. That character, that line, the essence of him was more memorable to me than the girl in the same scene. Janet Goldstein, who is also in 24. Janet Goldstein playing Janelle. He and his character, his delivery was more memorable to me as a kid than her. And then years later, I realized, oh, it's Andrew Berkeley. And then I go back, oh, Gattaca. He's great in Gattaca, too. You know, and then I go back and, like, he's great. He's great. We're wasting no time. I'm wasting a fucking ton of time reviewing because it's 35 minutes already and I've got tons of fucking notes. But we're wasting no time in the film. It's 2 hours and 32 minutes, director version, and we are wasting no time. We are moving. In the first couple of minutes, you see everybody and where they're at and what they're doing. Here we are, Sarah Connor, and where she's at, where she's stuck. Sarah Connor and Dr. Silverman. There is no doubt that Sarah Connor is now a badass. Like, she is not the Sarah Connor from the first film. And we know that, like, almost right away when we see her. Right away when we see her. Every character in this film that was from the original is not their character from the original. Sarah is not the same at all. She is like a total badass. Schwarzenegger, you know, the Terminator T-800, he is not and we find out later, he is not the bad guy. He's the good guy. He's not the character from the first one. Earl Bowen, Dr. Silverman, is not the same character. He is in the first one, he's like, can barely stay awake, slouchy, barely cares about what he's fucking doing. Here, he's running a whole fucking facility. Like, he's the man, you know? So every character we get from the original is not the same character, which I love about, which makes this, I think I said this in the review of the first one, which makes this sequel so great. We've taken the original, but we've gone a 180. We don't want to do the same thing as the original. We want to give you something completely new, even though we're looking at a sequel. And James Cameron did the same thing with Aliens. I think I said that in the review of the first Terminator. When no one is watching. Okay, so here's a scene. One of the first scenes in the film that's a director's version scene. When they beat her in her room and force her to take her meds. The orderlies force Sarah Connor. I think that's important. I wish that was in the original. I wish the director's version was the original. But I wish that was in the original because we need to know where Sarah is. It's not just Silverman that's oppressive. It's not just Silverman that's an asshole and doesn't want to believe her. It's the staff are horrible to her. We get a little glimpse of that later in the theatrical version when what's his name licks her face. I have a note on that. But here we see them actually physically hurting her. And I love that scene. It should be in the original. The police car. Okay, so watch my review of the Terminator because I say what is on the police car in the Terminator. And I think I still have my notes. I wrote that note specifically because I knew that it was different in Terminator 2. 1984, the police car in Los Angeles, both set in Los Angeles, the police car has this quote on it. It says, "To care and to protect." In 1991, we have Terminator 2, still set in LA, and it says, "To protect and to serve." Ha! So the original says, "To care and to protect." This one says, "To protect and to serve." Interesting how it's changed. And I wonder if either one is correct to the time. Like, did the police car actually have that on there? Maybe. Robert Patrick is great. I can't say that he's like a phenomenal actor, but I think what he does and what he brings to the table in this film is really, really good. He does a great job. I'm not going to go there. He makes them believe, and by them I mean Todd and Janelle. He makes them believe that he is absolutely a cop. And if he came to my door and did what he did in this scene, I would believe he's a cop. He definitely is very cop feely, but friendly cop, not like aggressive, mean cop, pull you over. He's very friendly cop, and he does a great job of it. I love him. In this film, he does a good job. Furlong does a great job of being, Cameron's shot in the dark. Cameron's long shot paid off because Edward Furlong does a great job of being John Connor at this age. What, 13? He's supposed to be, what, 13, I think? I mean, his voice is cracking, so he's going through puberty. So he's got to be like 13, 14 years old. And I don't know. Furlong was born in 77, 10, 11, yeah, 13. He's supposed to be about 13. He does a great job at being a 13-year-old, rebellious, in the foster care system, John Connor, rebelling against his mother. He naturally, I think Cameron picked him because he was not living with his parents. I don't remember if he was an orphan or not, but he has that air about him not living with his parents. And so he has that feel about him. And that feel lends an authenticity to his acting. And whether he wanted to be an actor at the time or not, whether he had done any acting at school or not, he comes across really, really well as that character, a rebellious 13-year-old, lost, angry. He does a great job. The dream sequence with Kyle. Okay, again, watch my review of The Terminator. I talk about how it's frustrating that they get the message wrong. The message that Kyle is sent back with, John Connor sends Kyle with a message to give to Sarah. And I quote it in the original, in my review of The Terminator, I quote the exact line, the exact message. And they change it for this film. I don't know why. It's frustrating. It's my one pet peeve about these two films. Like, fuck, why would you do that? Watch the original film. Get the quote right. So in this, they keep saying this, there is no fate but what we make. There is no fate but what we make for ourselves. There is no fate. He didn't fucking say that. That's not the original message. And it bothers me. It does bother me. But aside from that, this scene where she dreams about Kyle being there, and then it melts into her like running out. Where's our son, Sarah? And our son is in danger. And then she runs after him. I feel like that's important. I like it. I like seeing Michael Behan there. I love seeing him there. But I get why they took it out. It's not... It has that feel of, we don't really need this. We don't really need this. So they took it out. And of all the scenes from the directors, that's the one scene I'm like, I wouldn't be sad if they left that out. It's good. I like it. And I'm not sad they left it out. Okay. Linda Hamilton is in great shape for this movie. Do I think all women should look like her? No. Am I attracted to women? Not sexually. I can recognize a beautiful woman. I mean, Demi Moore is gorgeous. You know, I can recognize a beautiful woman. Linda Hamilton looks great with muscle and physique. Just like Angela Bassett in What's Love Got to Do with It. She has that physical, muscular physique and she looks great with it. And I just noticed, you know, Linda Hamilton looks great like this, like in this film. I also fucking love her in Dark Fate with the gray and the wrinkle, everything about her in Dark Fate. She just looks fantastic. Let it hang, let it natural, let it hang out. She looks gorgeous. She looks fantastic in that film, but also looks gorgeous in this film. This session Sarah has with Silberman. I love that it shows two sides of Sarah. The chill, obviously she's up to something, but chill, sedate, calm, sweet Sarah. And then she just fucking loses it. And goes after him. But it's not just those two Sarah at that time, but it's also the Sarah on the camera from who knows how long ago. They don't say how old that recording is. But I love these multiple layers of Sarah, and I never really looked at Linda Hamilton as a great actress, but you can't dismiss this film. She does such a great job at multiple layers of who Sarah is, multiple states of emotion. And Linda Hamilton does it all so well. It's just great. It's not Jekyll and Hyde. It's not meant to be, but you can look at it as so many different characters, so many levels of that character, and she does a great job. I love her acting in this. Oh, the bangs. Oh, God. So even as a kid, I had to ask my friend tonight, or earlier today when I was watching it, what the hell do you call the hair that comes over the... And he told me bangs. And I'm like, that's a horrible name for it. Bangs. 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 Anyway, every time I see this movie in this scene, when she's having this session with Silverman and she's looking through her bangs, I'm like, that's just irritating. That's irritating as the audience. That's irritating as if a woman is standing in front of me and she's looking through her bangs like that at me. I would find that irritating as hell. Like, what? Why are you purposefully obscuring your view of life with hair? Why are you purposely obscuring your view of life with hair? Bothers the hell out of me. It bothers the hell out of me. And it's not just because I'm bald. Okay, moving on. Oh my God, I have so many notes. Love the transition from... I love the transition from she's like trying to convince him she believes the Terminator's not real. And he says, well, you don't believe that the company covered it up? And she goes, no, why would they? And boom, same second we transfer to the Cyberdyne Systems and all the shit they covered up. Thank you, James Cameron. Gorgeous, gorgeous transition. Whoever did the editing, like, it's shocking and like, whoo! We didn't try to calm it down. We just, boom, one to the other. Thank you, James Cameron, for putting those two things right next to each other. And thank you for the editor for not doing a beautiful transition. No, we just did a boom, cut. Beautiful, wonderful. Joe Morton is great. I've seen him in a bunch of other things. I think, in my opinion, this is one of the best things he's done. He's so authentically him, realistically that character, Miles. He's really good in this. Oh, my foot itched. The Galleria. Okay. They don't call it the Galleria. In Glendale, they have a Galleria. This Galleria, I know where it is. I've been there multiple times. It's in Northridge. It's a mall in Northridge. They call it the Northridge. I'm almost positive they call it the Northridge Mall. I've been there, so I know it. So it's funny for me, having lived here for so long, when they call it the Galleria, and I'm like, no, that's the Northridge Mall. That's not the Galleria, because the Galleria is in, literally, I'm pointing to, the Galleria is in Glendale, and the Northridge Mall. Two completely opposite places called something different. But watching this movie is like, oh, okay. Little Holly, LA area insider information. Anyway. Oh, okay. Here's where we get, again, I've said in this review, forget that you've seen this movie 1,000 times. Forget that you've seen the trailer for this movie. Just go in blind, live in the world. So we still don't know which Terminator is good, which Terminator is bad. We know that they are both at the Galleria. We know that John is at the Galleria. So they are zeroing in. He is in imminent something, danger, safety, who knows what. We're in it. And I love this. We've been listening to, every time he's on the bike, he's listening to Guns N' Roses' You Could Be Mine. Love that song because of this movie. Love that song. I used to listen to that song all the time. I had a cassette tape. I had a cassette tape because that's what they were back then. They had CDs, but they also had cassette tape. excuse me, I had a single of Terminator 2. On one side was You Could Be Mine, Guns N' Roses. On the other side was Guns N' Roses' Civil War. Oh, I love that song. So those are the two like Guns N' Roses songs I love because I had that single and I used to listen to it over and over. Listen to one side, flip it, listen to the other side, flip it, listen to the other side. You know. So anyway, the whole reason why I bring that up is because every time John gets on the bike so far, we've been listening to them boomboxing. His buddy is boomboxing, you know, Could You Be Mine, Guns N' Roses. And here Arnold shows up with a thing of roses and he pulls his gun out. So obviously that was a, you know, nod to Guns N' Roses. And here we finally know, get down, Arnold is the good guy. You know, Robert Patrick is the bad guy. That 800, the original Terminator, is the good guy, not the bad guy. And this new Terminator is the bad guy. See, you can kind of see, okay, so Arnold's Arnold, so he's in both films. But Kyle, Michael Behan, his physicality, his look, his physicality is very similar to Robert Patrick back in the 1991. So their look is similar. So if you forget the trailer, if you forget you've seen this 1,000 times, we see Arnold and we think bad. And we see this thin, white, soldier-like person and we think good. So here's where we get the, nope, it's the exact opposite. That's what made this film so successful. One of the things that made this film so successful, complete opposite, we've changed it up. I love this first interaction with the two of them. It's so well done, sets the tone that even though Schwarzenegger is so much bigger and imposing, it's Patrick, it's the T-1000 that is so much, he's got the edge, he's got the power, he's better. They say it later, but here we see it. The breaking through the wall, because they go back and forth, and then they go back and forth and through. So it looks realistic. James Cameron tried to keep this on a semi-realistic, even though there are no cyborgs in this world right now. We're looking at a fake situation, but we're trying to keep it as realistic as possible. And he does that well in this scene where they're pushing through the walls. They're obviously stronger than humans. Their flesh is the T-800's flesh is probably a little more durable because a human being slammed up against brick would hurt, would bleed, would cut somewhere. But we're not seeing that. So his flesh is probably a little more durable. We understand that Robert Patrick is not flesh. He's complete liquid metal. We find that out later. But what I'm trying to get at is them. It looks more or less realistic because they're still having these obstacles. They're still pushing through brick and drywall and then clothes and metal and glass and blah, blah, blah. In the later Terminators, it's like they're going through like brick wall like it's paper. And it's so unrealistic to me. It looks so fucking fake. Like, it just looks bad. Whereas this looks trying to stay real. Trying to stay in the realm of possibility. So that's why I appreciate this first. One of the reasons I appreciate this first interaction. Arnold fall like the original. So he throws him through like the original when Kyle shoots the Terminator through the Tech Noir glass out into the outside and on the sidewalk. Here we have that same shot. The T-1000 throwing the T-800 through the window of the shop, landing on the walkway of the Galleria. And who is taking pictures? As Arnold is picking up, the guy that's taking pictures is the writer, William Wisher. He also had a quick cameo in the original. I didn't say that in my review of the original, but he also had a quick cameo of the original. He was the cop that the Terminator came and took his car. This is 1L19. I got a hit and run felony, blah, 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 blah. So he knocks him out and he takes him That's also William Wisher, the writer. So he had a cameo in both films. I love that the T-1000 is super fast, and we're showing that he's super fast, but we're not trying to do any kind of trick photography or, well, we are doing trick photography, but we're not doing any kind of like speeding up or slowing down the film. We're not trying to do any computer animation or anything like that. We're trying to be as practical as possible. Again, you know, aside from rear projection, James Cameron tries to stay as practical as possible, and this is a great example of the T-1000 is running after John on the bike, and he's keeping up with John on the bike. We know that's not possible for Robert Patrick to do, but he's done it in such a way and filmed it in such a way that we see and we believe that the T-1000 is that fast. And I love it. I love it because we've never shown that kind of speed with the T-800. And that's fine. We don't need to. I just love that we're seeing a superior T-1000. The examples of him being superior is evident. And I love it. Without computer animation, without speeding up or slowing down the film, like practically. This chase scene is great. I love it through the LA reservoirs. But I was watching it today and going, how the hell did John get in the reservoir? Like I've been riding a bike and a motorcycle. I've been riding motorcycles in LA for years now, 6 years now. And I'm like, I've never once seen where you can enter into the fucking reservoir like he is. Never once. And they're like doing it over and over and over. Even Arnold's doing it over and over. And I'm like, what? You can't fucking get in there. I've never seen that you can get in there. Anyway. So here again, my eye, maybe not yours, I don't know. My eye can see the difference between rear projection real quick and when it's real and life instead of rear projection. I can see the difference. I was literally finishing it, making my notes, finishing it at the end. I'll talk about it later, but in the end scene, and literally in my mind, I was going real, rear projection, real, real, rear projection, real, real. And so in this scene too, I've noticed in this chase, I noticed when it's real life, it's Arnold. It's really Arnold. When it's when it's real life, it's not Arnold. It's a stunt double. And I'm like, that's clearly a stunt double, and it's real life. When it's rear projection, it's Arnold on the bike. It's really Arnold, rear projection. Because they're not going to put Arnold in danger. And so the stunt doubles clearly... I have never seen instances in Arnold's films where it's clearly a stunt double as much as this chase scene, this whole chase scene, back and forth. That's Arnold. That's clearly not Arnold. That's Arnold. That's clearly not Arnold. I've never seen it so obvious as this scene. Like, God, that's Arnold. That's not Arnold. That's Arnold. That's not Arnold. Back and forth. But I still love the scene. I mean, this whole chase scene is fantastic and energetic, and John on the bike and the T-1000 in the semi. It's great. It's great. Love the sound effects. I mean, it won an Academy Award, and I'm watching it tonight going, of course. I remember as a kid loving these sounds. You know, the gunshots and the little and the sounds that the Terminator makes and the dropping things and when the truck crashes and the spark of the gas, you know, all the little sound effects and him coming through and the cocking of the gun and all the sound effects are gorgeous. And I remember loving it as a kid, but I didn't realize until way as an adult that it won an Academy Award for it. I mean, it deserved it. It was amazing. I used to have an air gun, and I used to pretend that I could one-handed circle cock. Like I used to tip and cock it, you know, like he did, trying to be Arnold. I used to do that as a kid all the time. At the time, I think I said this in the review, or maybe I said this earlier, because I literally just reviewed one and then started reviewing the second. This was cutting edge special effects at the time. I remember people being blown away by this scene when the truck explodes. John Connor and the T-800 Terminator take off, and then the T-1000 comes walking through the flames as this like silver thing, and then slowly turns into Robert Patrick. And this was like cutting edge fucking special effects at the time. Now when you watch it, you're like, oh, it's a little wonky, and you're like, okay, it's not horrible, but it's not great. At the time, it was amazing. It was cutting edge. Edward Furlong is sitting on the tank of the bike in front of Arnold. I was now that I've been riding for, like I said, 6 years, almost 6 years. I started riding in September of 19. So now that I've been riding a motorcycle for years, I'm like, that scene right after that where Edward Furlong is sitting, John Connor is sitting on the tank of the bike. I'm like, what? And holding onto the handle, like the side of the handlebars, and then, side of the handlebars. And then they've added these pegs in the front so that he can put his feet. And I'm like, those pegs are not normally there. Where did they anchor those pegs? How did they put those pegs there? And I'm like, as a motorcycle rider, I'm like, how did they do that? That's interesting. Like, you would never put somebody in that sitting position, putting their feet on pegs that are not there. So it was funny. It's funny to watch it now and being like, that's not practical. Oh, I have this note here again. For an unknown, Edward Furlong gives a great performance. I put this note here about his authenticity of being an orphan. He's wonderful. Cameron's gamble of hiring Edward Furlong paid off because he's great. Even watching it today, I'm like, he's not Oscar worthy, but he is great for 13 years old. He does a great fucking job in this movie. The coin bin. At night, they drive up, they stop to call Todd and Janelle. They go to the phone booth. The coin bin, if you watch, because the camera stays up, but then quickly goes down and Arnold busts the coin bin. The coin bin, if you pay real close attention, is already broken and has like this film over it so that he can break the little film and coins come out. One of those, like in the original, the X-Acto knife I did a review of the original. The X-Acto knife doesn't have a blade. This one, the coin bin was already broken before he smashes it. Todd and Janelle. What a great little interaction. What a great little scene. And this is why I think I saw it first in a drive-in. It's because I think the sound wasn't as great when I first saw it, because I don't remember hearing her stab him. And clearly, when I watch the movie now, I clearly hear the sound of the stab. Even though it's off camera, I clearly hear it. Whereas as a kid, I don't remember hearing that the first time I saw it. I remember being shocked when the camera pulled away and she's like got this sword through Todd's mouth. And I remember being shocked because whoa! So I have this feeling like I first saw this in a drive-in and just didn't hear it. But what a great interaction. And then we see the T-800 talking in John's voice and John's shock at like, what? You can actually do that? Whoa, that's my voice. That's kind of cool. I like that quick little scene. This quick insert, again, director's version. I'm watching the director's version of the T-800 going out and killing the dog and looking at the tag because what's wrong with Wolfie? His name was Max. I love that scene. And I think it's important to who the T-800 is to confirm and realize that was the wrong fucking dog name. So has to assume that he is with the T-800. Has to assume T-800 has him. Got it. Now I know what I'm up against. Now, I didn't see it in this version. When I watched this earlier today. But I can swear I saw a director's version where he goes into John's room. My throat. I have a lot of phlegm going on, so I don't know what's up with that. I can swear I remember a director's version where he goes into John's room and goes through John's stuff. Maybe I'm misremembering that. I might be misremembering that because it wasn't in the version I saw tonight. Oh, I love when the police come and see. I say I love a lot because I just love this fucking movie. And I said that in the review of the Terminator as well. When the police come to see Sarah Connor and try to tell her, hey, your son's been kidnapped, and try to convince her to help. I love the pictures of the original Terminator, and then right next to it with the pictures of the Terminator now, Arnold Schwarzenegger now. If you pay close attention, you see that in multiple scenes they've shown Subway. So I guess Subway gave them some money. So on the table there, when they're interviewing her, is their Subway drinks. And you can see that back then, 1990, when they filmed this, 91 it was released, Subway's colors were brown and yellow. And I remember Subway's colors being brown and yellow. And nowadays, Subway's colors are green and yellow, not brown and yellow. So now it's all green and yellow, whereas back then it was brown and yellow. You can see it clearly. Sarah is up to... She's being very catatonic, but she's up to something. She takes the paperclip. She's up to something. She's not going to let this go. And, what do we expect from her now? What are we going to get? What do we expect from her? The turning point of... This is such a great idea. The turning point of the Terminator has to obey John. That's one of my mission parameters. One of my own Terminator. How fun for a 13-year-old. How fun for, Edward Furlong. What a great idea for the film. Here we go. We're getting practical laughs. This is not a slapstick, but we get these laughs because we've subtly thrown in some comedy. Stand on one foot. Yes! It's great. It's great without being slapstick like T3 was just slapstick. Great idea also to have... comedy that's not forced, like I said. Let me go. Why in the hell did you do that? And he says, let me go. And he lets him go. So these comedical situations, the comedical things that it's not trying to be slapstick, but gets good laughs. That's what we want in this kind of film. We don't want slapstick in these kind of films. We don't want fucking T3 where Arnold puts on those fucking star glasses with all the glitter. No. Can we not do that? That's too much. What we can do is fun little stuff like this that gets a laugh. Of course, I'm a Terminator. You were going to kill that guy. Of course, I'm a Terminator. Here we go. Another plot twist. John doesn't want him killing. What are we going to do? So, I think I saw one time in an interview that Jim Cameron said that it was Arnold's idea, Arnold read the script and goes, I don't kill anyone. And it was Arnold's idea. Jim Cameron said, no, you're the good guy. You don't kill any. No, you're the good guy. You don't kill anybody. And he says, well, can I just shoot him in the leg? And Cameron said, yeah, okay, you can shoot him in the leg. So it was Arnold's idea to still wound people. And he'll live. I love that line. He'll live. Shoot him in the leg. The orderly licking Sarah. So we come back to that. I had mentioned that earlier. I love this scene, and this is in the original theatrical version, when the orderly licks Sarah's face. Because then, without that scene with the orderlies beating Sarah and making her take her medication, without that scene, we don't know that the orderlies are mistreating her until this scene where that orderly licks her. Now we get that orderly is mistreating her, but we don't know that all the orderlies are, which is what we saw in the other scene. The orderlies are mistreating her. Here we get the idea that this orderly is not good. This orderly is mistreating her. We need that because then she gets him. We'll say later. Lewis, the guard, mustache police officer guard. He's actually a twin. You may already know this, but he actually played twin brothers in Gremlins 2. They were twin brothers, scientists, brothers. So to see him in this movie was kind of cool. They are actually twins. So when the T-1000 comes up behind him as him, looking like him, that's actually him and his brother. My absolute favorite T-1000 moment is that moment. When Lewis walks over the checkerboard floor steps, you see the footprint, and then you see the T-1000 come up because he's on the floor. Fucking love it. And then we slowly see him seeping up, and as he's getting taller, he's coming together. I just love that. That is my favorite T-1000 scene in the entire film. Yes, that is great. I love that Sarah gets back at that orderly. I mean, she beats the crap out of him, and I'm like, good. But it's not just the lick. It's the background of them beating her to make her take her medication. It has to be both of those scenes, because just the lick for me is not enough. I'm like, Jesus, she beat the shit out of him. All he did was, okay, that's creepy and disgusting, but knowing that he beat her also, and probably has beat her multiple times, lots of times, probably. From that scene, we get that he's done it lots of times. I'm like, good, beat the fucking shit out of him. Then I'm like, on her side, absolutely, beat the shit out of him. Fucker. Again, the sound effects. It won an Academy Award. So here we get a great example of the sound effects. We see Lewis, the T-1000 as Lewis, walking. We hear him walking. We hear the of the change, and then we hear the footfalls are completely different. They're Robert Patrick. Then we come back to it's Robert Patrick. Gorgeous. Everything you hear is brilliant. Well done. Very well done. Very well done. Sound effects editing. Wonderfully done. When I noticed this multiple times, and now that I've been riding a motorcycle for 6 years, when Arnold comes up to Pescadero, the place, before he shoots the guy, the guard at the gate, when he comes up and stops, you see the bounce of the front wheel. Like he stops and the shocks go. That only happens when you're heavy-handed on the front brake, not on the back brake. Because if you're heavy-handed on the back brake and or if you're equal, or if you're heavy-handed on the back brake like I am, unfortunately, I am heavy-footed on the back brake, it doesn't bounce like that. The shocks don't react that way. They only happen that way when you're heavy-handed on the front brake. So I noticed watching this happen multiple times in the film. I'm like, Arnold naturally is heavy-handed on the front brake. And that's why we get that bounce. Yes, the front brake has 70% of the stopping power, but I tend to use both of them equally now because my mechanic was like, you're using your back brake way too much. So now I use them both, try to use them both equally, and I don't get that bounce like Arnold does in the bike. Anyway, totally not the movie. I just noticed that when I went through it. I swear I will not kill anyone. I love that. Now, you're not going to kill anyone, right? Swear. Just put up your hand and say, I swear I will not kill anyone. That's a great scene. Here we have this wonderful chemistry between Edward Furlong and Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is what the movie needed. This is what Cameron was banking on, and he got it. What a great chemistry. He'll live again. He shoots him in the thing. Sarah escapes. I love Sarah's escape. She would have got away whether they showed up or not. I have no doubt of it. This time she would have gotten away. She does such a great job at just, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. Her son is too important to her. When she sees the Terminator, this reaction is just, it's classic. It's fucking amazing. When she slips and she sees him, she's like, and they slow it, and the sound, everything. Her feet on the ground, the sound, her falling, the slow-mo of it, seeing him coming out, only him, not John, seeing him coming out of the elevator is just like beautifully done. Beautifully done. And then she gets up and runs. No, he'll kill us all. He'll kill us all. It's just fucking love it. I love it. I love it. It's the perfect reaction. And then come with me if you want to live, which made the line famous. Arnold said that. Now, my question is, was he programmed to say that? When he saw Sarah, was he programmed to say that because of what Kyle said? Because at this point, because of her tapes to John. Okay, so I talked about this a little bit in the review of the Terminator, the self-fulfilling prophecy. When you talk about time travel, there are multiple ways to look at it. And one of the ways to look at it is self-fulfilling, which means it will always be this way. Well, of course you went back in time because you had to fulfill this timeline. You had to do that. And it'll never change. It'll always be that. Okay? So here we are. The Terminator has this self-fulfilling prophecy, time traveling idea. So, if that is true, when Kyle went back and then Sarah makes the tapes, does John know in the future that Kyle said to her, come with me if you want to live? Is that something she would have remembered? Is that something she would have put on the tape? And then when John programs the Terminator to help him as younger, knowing that it's very possible he'll run into Sarah, does he program the Terminator to say that line when you see Sarah? To have that familiarity, to have that trust that he knows what Kyle said? I wonder. It's a very interesting thought that the Terminator was programmed to say that specific line to Sarah. And of course, that's what made the line famous, more famous in this one. Seeing the T-1000 go through the bars, I remember the first time I saw that and just being like, oh, so excited, so awesome. Like, yes, of course he can do all these cool things. And then not even thinking about, oh, that's great, he can go through the bars. And it's just, and then the gun gets stuck in the bar and he has to move it and get, okay, it's not practical. The bars are actually wide enough to where it would go through no problem. They've changed the width of the bars for that scene so he can turn and, okay, if you really want to look at it that specific, then you can, but it's fun to just see him melt through the bars, and the gun gets stuck, and he's got to move it and get. It's great. I remember as a kid just loving that. And Silverman's reaction, Earl Bowen, his reaction is just brilliant in this entire time since when, the Terminator shows up and starts taking out the orderlies to where the second Terminator T-1000 shows up, comes through the bars and goes past him. He is like pasted to the wall and like freaking out, like internally freaking out, trying not to freak out, externally. Great performance. I love it. I love it. What the fuck is going on? When Sarah's in the elevator, she's like, what the fuck is it? What the fuck is going on? I love it. I would have appreciated maybe a little more, if I were the director, I would have tried to get a little more of like, she's hard in her delivery, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I think I want a little more like, what's going on? Not just, what's going on? What's going on? There's a difference between the two, and I would have wanted a little more like, what the fuck is going on? Like out of her mind almost, like what? But anyway, either way, the line is brilliant. What the fuck is it? What the fuck is going on? The music changes. I love the music along with the sound effects. It's just gorgeous in this scene. When they're running away, the music, when they're shooting, him coming through the elevator, him slicing through the elevator and then coming through the elevator, all of it, just gorgeous. If you just listen to the sound effects, listen to the music amps you up. It's not just about what's going on. It's also about what you're hearing. And Academy Award. It deserved it. I love that a piece of the Terminator is still stuck on the car after that confrontation. After, the T-800 shoots him and he falls off, there's still a piece stuck on it, and then John grabs it and throws it. I love that he walks up and it melts into his foot. I remember being so like, again, as a kid, I remember having that same feeling when he walks through the bars, like melts through the bars. I also remember having that same feeling when he walks up to the little piece of him and it melts back into him, and just being like, oh, that's so cool. That is so awesome. What's wrong with your eyes? And then, so what's your story? Again, we get those little laughs. We get those little pieces of comedy. What's wrong with your eyes? Nothing. So what's your story? In the rearview mirror, he looks at her. We get those little pieces of comedy without it being slapstick. It's really well done. How long do you live? 120 years. So at his base model, if you were to call it a base model, he lives or lasts 120 years. Wow. It's a long time. I guess that's where you get, Dark Fate, where his skin is aging. Anyway, it's a different film. This resetting of the learning switch, I get why they took it out. It feels like it could kind of be a disruption to the flow of the film. I don't necessarily feel it. Although part of it may be a disruption of the flow of the film. We're in an intense situation. But they've gotten away and they're in hiding. So not really an intense situation. So I understand why they took it out. But I'm like, they spent so much energy and great camera work using Linda Hamilton's twin sister. Just wonderful practical effects with Arnold in the seat and then the robotics of Arnold. I really wish they would have left it in. It's such a beautiful scene. And, Arnold does a great job of being the Terminator before the switch, being Terminator after the switch. It's a wonderful scene. A wonderful vehicle for Edward Furlong to really show off his acting, and for John Connor to shift in his character. Because here we get Sarah wants to kill it. Sarah doesn't 100% trust it still. Here we have it at its most vulnerable. It can't fight back. We have the chip. All we have to do is destroy it. He's like, no, he's my friend. It, John. No, okay, it's my friend, but we need it. And then why don't you listen to my leadership ideas once in a while? Because if you don't listen to me, how do you expect other people to listen to me? It's just it's well written. It's such a great scene. It's well written. It's well acted by everybody. I'm just like, why didn't you leave this one in? This one, of all the scenes in the director's version, I'm like, this is the one that really should have been left in. It's important to the storyline because now the Terminator starts to learn. It's important to the characters, insanely important to the characters. I love this scene. I think they should have left it in. And Edward Furlong shows off his ability to be an actor. He does a great job. The keys in the visor. When they get the station wagon. When they get in the station wagon, the original, like I said, it's the last scene that they filmed and he punches his hand through it. The window and blah, 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 blah. Anyway, when they get the station wagon in this film, John pulls down the visor and the keys there. Are we learning yet? That is the first time I've seen that. And I've seen that in so many other films since. The keys under the visor. Funny that set a precedence. Affirmative. No problemo. I love when he knows knows he's switched the learning computer on the Terminator. He's now going to try to teach the Terminator. No. Don't say affirmative or something like that. Say no problemo. This whole back and forth between the two. Again, the chemistry is great between them. This whole back and forth between the two are trying to make the Terminator be more human. This line, no problemo, I use it all the time. Probably one of the most used movie quotes by me of all time. I use no problemo all the time, and every time I say it, every time I text it, I think of Terminator 2. When they go to the gas station, Cactus Jack's gas station. Holy Jesus, I have so many notes. Cactus Jack's gas station. Is that a reference to the villain? Because in the villain, Kirk Cameron's character is Cactus Jack Slade. So I'm wondering if that's a reference. But that gas station that they go to is apparently the same exact gas station that ends the original film. Obviously, it's decorated different, but apparently it's the same gas station. I love when he's trying to teach him to smile. It's too funny. Now that is trying to go for laughs. That is the one scene where I would say is slightly slapstick. They're trying to go for it, but maybe practice in front of a mirror. I think it's funny, and it was trying to be funny, and it succeeded, but it's the only one that's really going for it, really trying to be that. It's in your nature to destroy yourselves. What an interesting line. What a weird sentiment and an interesting line. It's in your nature to destroy yourselves. The writers, Cameron and Wisher, I wonder what made them go there. I wonder what made them write that line and have that line in there. I don't think that it's wrong. I just wonder what their thought process was to get them to that line and then put it in the movie. Miles Bennett Dyson. I love this info download from the Terminator about Miles Dyson. I love it because it gives Arnold an opportunity in this film to really act, have a great monologue and act, and he does a fantastic job. I love this whole scene and still be the Terminator. The Miles extended scenes are great. with the family. At least this scene. I don't remember if the other one's extended, but definitely this scene is extended. He has 2 kids and not one. I remember watching this film so many times and only thinking he had the one kid. And then come to find out, you watch the director's version and he has a little boy and a little girl. It's not just the little boy. It's not just Danny. So I love these scenes. It's showing him being human. They do this a lot in the original, and I talked a lot about this in my review of the Terminator, is how we kind of lose that in film today, where people just being people just being human. We're trying to so drive the plot that we forget to let's see the characters just be them. And I think this scene is really nice to see the characters just being them. Yes, it also furthers the plot, but I get to see them just be them. And I really like it. Nice scenes. Uncle Bob. When they get to Enrique's and John introduced the Terminator as Uncle Bob. He's Uncle Bob? Well, I couldn't think of anything else. It cracks me up every time. Does not fail. Cracks me up every time when he picks the kid up. When the Terminator picks the little 2-year-old up and is looking at him, and how frozen the little kid is, like a cat being picked up by its scruff. It cracks me up every time. No matter how many times I've seen this, I'm like, it just cracks me up. Getting the guns. All the other kids were into Nintendo. So this monologue by John Connor, by Edward Furlong, he does a really good job at this monologue, telling the Terminator how he grew up. The chemistry between them is wonderful. I love this little, again, we're not trying to go for a laugh, but we get it when John tries to get the ammo box and it's too heavy for him, and you see Edward Furlong's stuck. He's stuck. And the Terminator comes and moves it for him, and he's like, okay. We're not really trying to go for it. It's not Home Alone, but it is funny if you notice it. It's funny. It gets a little chuckle. That's definitely you. When earlier he was trying to get him to learn how to smile. He said, practice in front of a mirror. He's not quite got it. But here he picks up the minigun and he does a smirk, half smile. Perfect. It's so Arnold, and it's so perfect for the Terminator 2 as well. And then he says, definitely you, because of the gun. Wonderful. Great mix of the Terminator's learning. Arnold and the minigun. It's just, it worked so well. Perfect. Worked so well. Torque wrench. A torque wrench? When I watched this when I was younger, it's like, what the fuck is a torque wrench? Torque wrench? I remember working. I've never told anybody this. Oh my God. If my mom watches this review, there's a chance she will be so mad at me. I remember helping my mom's boyfriend work on her Toyota, changing the transmission. And I wasn't as big as I am now, but I was still a big guy, strong, worked out a lot. And I remember tightening one of the bolts and breaking it. And being like, oh shit, what do I do now? And just kind of hit it and tighten the other ones, but tried not. So ever since I did that, tightening it and breaking one of the bolts and not telling her, oh God, I've always been really careful about any kind of mechanical work, any kind of work where I'm tightening something and being like, okay, be careful with it. Because I'm a lot stronger now than I was then as a kid. But years later, I found out a torque wrench. Oh, you're only supposed to have a certain amount of torque on certain things. Check the torque wrench. Where did I learn that? My Cousin Vinny. I learned that in My Cousin Vinny. Okay, now I know what a torque wrench is, what it's for, and I should have been using it all along instead of breaking bolts on my mom's Toyota. Anyway, let's move on from that. Hopefully she doesn't watch this review. Um, why do you cry? I love this scene. And you don't know it at the time, but it's very important for the end of the film. Why do you cry? Well, I don't know. Pain causes it. What does he say to when you're hurt? I forget what he says. I just watched this and I forget what he says. Why do you cry? And then he says something. He says pain causes it. When you're hurt? Oh, I can't remember. Anyway, it's a great conversation. It's a great learning piece for both characters. Chemistry's wonderful, and it's so important for the emotion at the end of this film. I don't say it enough about this film, but I should say the writing is brilliant. The writing is brilliant. It's not just the story, it's the dialogue. Sarah has this, it would always be there. It would die to protect him. Of all the would-be fathers who came and went over the years, this thing, this machine is the only one who measured up. In an insane world, it was the sanest choice. She has these wonderful lines. Everybody has these wonderful lines that if you really think about it, you're like, wow, that's great and profound and wonderful. And it's in the writing. It's all in the writing. It's so great. I love that sentiment. I love that she acknowledges it. I love that she realizes it. Wonderful. Again, no fate. Okay, so we just talk about wonderful writing. Here we are, poor writing. Okay, I've already said it. They changed the message that John gives to Kyle to give to Sarah from the original to this one. And this whole no fate but what we make is this huge thing in Terminator 2. But he never fucking said that in the original. He never said that in the original. That wasn't the message. That wasn't part of the message. No. So it's a little frustrating to me. That's my one pet peeve about these two films is that they change that and make it such a huge deal in the second one when that wasn't what he said. So yes, absolutely, that drives me up the wall. But still, it is a good sentiment for this film. It is a good driving point for the story of this film. It just wasn't the original. It wasn't the original message. I remember being disappointed and sad seeing Sarah go after Miles. I felt like that was a turning point for that character, that I didn't want to see that character go down that road. Sarah. I was very disappointed when I was younger and just being like, why? It hurt me. I love that it only gets so far and then she doesn't go through with it. I love the original when she has her sights on Miles and Danny's truck or remote control car hits him in the foot and he goes down and then misses. It's a really well done. It didn't feel fake. It didn't feel forced. It felt real. It was really well done. That scene. Is that the house? I was watching it. I've had this thought before. I was watching it tonight and I went, is that the same house from that movie Life as a House? Is that the same house that they filmed that movie? Did they? Because parts of it really look similar. T2 house. Okay, that's not gonna get turn. They're saying it's not. But there are similarities between this house, the stairs, the rounded, the white, that entryway with all the foliage, the pool in the background. You know what? I'm going to research this better because we're already at hour 40. I'm going to research this better and probably put an update in the video when I post this video, because I swear that the house, Miles Davis's house in this film, Miles Dyson's house in this film is the same as the kids and the mother's house in Life as a House. I'm going to research that and see, because there are just too many similarities for me to think it wasn't. I feel like it was the same house. Who are you people? Show them. I love this part where he cuts his arm and pulls thing, and we see the skeleton. Wonderfully done. It's unfortunate that if you really pay attention, you can see the harness under Arnold's shirt. You can see the harness where the whole thing is like strapped to him. You can see it under his shirt. It's a little unfortunate. You gotta let it go and just, okay, we're watching a film. You're judging me on things I haven't even done yet. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. Isn't that almost the same exact sentiment that Sarah has when she's talking to Kyle in the tunnel in the first film? You know, what did she say? You're talking about things I haven't even done in the past tense. It's driving me nuts. That kind of thing. Or it's driving me crazy. This sentiment and that sentiment are almost the same. It's not the same situation, but it's the same feeling. Like you're judging me on things I haven't even done yet. No one must follow your work. So I wasn't expecting that. Whoa. Oh yeah, that tracks. That makes sense. I remember being shocked by that line, because I was like, okay, you got him to stop. We haven't killed him. Good. And I felt secure and safe and okay, good. But then when the Terminator says, no one must follow your work, I was like, oh shit, that's right. If he doesn't do it, somebody will. With what research is there, somebody will. Okay, so here's another twist. Now we have to destroy the work. When they go to Cyberdyne, just send everything you got in the area right now. I love that line. That's great. And then when John comes in and says, we got company, and say, police? Yeah, how many? All of them, I think. Again, they're not trying for laughs, but they get them. Like, it's not slapstick, but it's good laughs. Good quality, like, okay, that's a good one. I'll take care of the police. Hey, you swore. So when he turns back and says, trust me, and the hole from when he shot the door to get into that facility, and he turns back, he says, trust me. I love that shot. And I don't know why that didn't turn into I'll be back. I don't know why that didn't, because for me it has that same feel. That should have been a line. That should have been iconic. But like I said in my review of the original, Arnold said you don't know when a line is gonna be something. You don't know. You just say the line, and at the time you don't know it's gonna be a thing. And when I watch this film, I feel like that, trust me, should have been something and never picked up, never was something. I love that after he shoots all the police, shoots and tears them all up, that he does the analysis in the Terminator look, and it says human casualties 0.0. I like that. That's a great little addition. It was fun. Poor Miles. Like, I was sad to see him die. I was not expecting him to die, but I have to say, what a fantastic job Joe Morton did in that death scene. You know, I'm sure it wasn't his idea. I'm sure it was the writing, Cameron's idea, somebody's idea, but Joe Morton does such a great job. The way he's breathing and the sweat And then he's like, I don't know how much longer I can hold this. And then eventually his breathing stops and he drops it. Just what an amazing death scene. What an amazing and so well done by Joe Morton. I love the way the T-1000 just cruises up, just chill on the police motorcycle, just chill, just cruise up, and everything's like on fire. Like the police cars are torn up, and he's just like coming through, just chilling. He just arrived. He's coming. I'm gonna look around. It's just such a weird energy dichotomy between everything so hectic and like being blown apart, and then he just cruises up like la la la. Stay here. I'll be back. Of course we had to have I'll be back. I mean, it's Terminator 2. We've got to have that. And it worked. They did a good job. It worked. I remember my brother Victor coming. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned his name. Sorry. I remember my brother coming home from the movie, from seeing it in the theaters. Like I said, I don't think I was allowed to see it that young. I don't think. But I remember him coming home, much like I remember him coming home from Kindergarten Cop, and him telling us, you don't get to see the Terminator. And what? You don't get to see like the skeleton, the Terminator. The only thing you get to see is his arm and a little bit of his face. I remember him saying that. So I guess I was kind of prepared, even though I was hoping to see more of the Terminator, the skeleton, the skeleton. I didn't get to see that. But when he goes in and starts getting shot up by the police, I'm like, oh, here we go. We get to see, because we've already seen his arm, but then he covers his arm up. And then now we're getting to see, his face. And I'm like, oh, we get to see more of the Terminator. Ooh, we get to see more of the Terminator. I was excited for that. But I knew we weren't going to get to see like the full exoskeleton. The motorcycle tires. Okay, so when T2 goes up the stairs, he comes into the building and he goes up the stairs on the motorcycle. So here's a fault in filming, and it's way worse in Mission Impossible 2. Way worse. Where the motorcycle is on street. So you have street tires. But then as soon as you go to something that needs grip, real grip, you change the tires. But we as the audience see that the tires are not the same. They're knobby. They're like dirt bike tires. Real knobby, really horrible. Now this Terminator 2 doesn't show much. It's a quick scene. If you're really paying attention, when he turns to go up the other side of the stairs, he goes up the side of the stairs, turns to go up the other. You see the tires like, whoa, that is not normal. A normal tire. That is like knobby dirt bike tires. In Mission Impossible 2, it's insanely noticeable. They go from being on the street, smooth tires, to being in the sand and like total knobby, both front and back dirt bike tires. But I noticed it in this too. The camera movements are amazing. There's a lot of them before this point, but at this point I was just like, there's so much great camera movements. When they escape in the SWAT car, just the way the camera moves and comes out and moves, the way it moves is just wonderful. They've got a lot of great camera movements. And I remember being shocked when the motorcycle comes out of the building and runs into the helicopter. I remember being, shocked. Yeah, it's the bad guy, but it's still cool. When he's like, get out. Okay, there... I have a hard time of like comparing this and that, comparing Arnold to others. And I love the original. He's like, get out. And I'm like, hell yeah. He's like he's all fucked up. He's part Terminator and part human and like glowing eye. And he's like all torn up. He's like, get out. And like, of course I'd get out. And this one, it's like liquid, like coming through the window. And you're like, holy shit. And the guy's like, yeah, I'll get out. And jumps out of the helicopter. You're like, okay, yeah, getting out. Speaking of the helicopter. Now, I heard that And I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that the stunt driver of the helicopter, Cameron told him he wanted him to go under the overpass. And he was like freaked out. He goes, you have any idea that I have like less than a foot on top, less than a foot on bottom, and if I hit one little tiny thing, that's it for me. Like, done. And I heard that the stunt chopper pilot was like freaked out, but did it. And just I keep that in the back of my mind, because every time I watch this, I appreciate that quick split half a second scene took a lot to get. A lot of trust, a lot of precision, amazing fucking stunt pilot flying. And I just appreciate that tiny little quick was a big deal for a lot of people. Like a big deal. I love that third arm when the T-1000 is driving the helicopter and then reloading his gun, and you see that third arm driving the helicopter. I love it. If you didn't notice that, watch. When the Terminator is shooting at Sarah Connor in the helicopter at the back of the truck, he stops to reload, but there's a third arm literally like guiding or using the joist or whatever. I don't know what you call it in a helicopter. What is it? It's not a joystick. It's a steering column. I guess that's what you call it, because it's not a wheel. It's a column. It's a steering column. The third arm is like guiding the steering column. It's pretty cool. I can get out and run faster than this. This is the vehicle's top speed. I can get out and run faster than this. Great line. Maybe they were probably going for the comedy at that point, and it worked. It was great. Again, okay, so here's where the rear projection really fails in this film. It looks so bad when they're in this tiny little car and the semi-truck is smashing up against them, and to me, clearly rear projection. That semi-truck is not really there. It is a big screen next to their little car. I don't know, what is it, a little Toyota, a little Ford, or whatever it is. Maybe it's even a Datsun. I don't know. But that rear projection is just, at that point, is just so clear it's rear projection. For me, it's just like, painstakingly rear projection. The liquid nitrogen crashing into the metal works plant or the iron works plant or whatever. Just such a beautiful opposing colors, opposing forces. The heat versus the cold, the red versus the blue. Such a beautiful like clash of things. I love it. I love the idea of it. I'm assuming it's Cameron's idea. Wonderful idea. This freezing of the T-1000 is wonderful. He does a great job acting it, moving it. I don't know if that's Patrick or if it's somebody else, but whoever it is, great job. When he's looking at his hand and he freezes, the whole movement of it is great. Hasta la vista, baby. You know, that scene was, that line was boom. Absolutely, iconic, wonderful line. Not as I'll be back, but still wonderful. I love that the sound completely goes away and cuts out right before the shot. It's so quick, but so emotional and so important. Hasta la vista, baby. And the sound cuts and boom. And then the shatter. Again, the Academy Award for sound effects. It's just like, whoa. The little shards on the ground. It's just, the sound of that whole scene is gorgeous. Gorgeous. We don't have much time. When he notices that the shards are melting and eventually it's going to come back together. We don't have much time. Oh shit. It's that feeling at the end of the first one when they blow the fucking thing up and then it comes out of the flames and they're like, "Oh shit." Again? More? It's great. I think it's great. Wonderful feeling. I love the Mercury. We've gone from CGI to using practical effects, and it looks great. The CGI still, it does its purpose. It does a good job coming down from the elevator earlier in the film. Looks great, but it looks like CGI. Here we have practical Mercury, and it looks fantastic. Looks different and fantastic. I love that shot where the Mercury is coming together. So here's another one of those things that much like switching the learning computer on from off to on. Here's another one of those things that I wish they would have left in the original. When the T-1000 starts to malfunction now, because it got frozen and blown apart, all those tiny, tiny little pieces may or may not have gotten back in. Even if they got back in to the now T-1000 solid again, it's not the same. And what I love about the director's version is it shows that. He starts to everything he touch melt into without purposefully melting into and changing to that. He starts to do that as he walks, as he touches things. And I love that malfunctioning part of that Terminator. They got to him. Oh, good. He's not invincible. They've gotten to him. And it lends a vulnerability to him, his character, that I enjoy, that's not in the original film. That should be, and is important later on. I love that quick reversal when the two Terminators are fighting and Arnold throws Patrick into the wall, and the quick reversal, like liquid reversal of him, just like that blew my mind when I first saw it. I was like, whoa! Blew my mind when I first saw it. Loved it. When the T-1000 traps Sarah Connor and puts that finger through her shoulder. Yes, it's not quite right. She falls down lower than the finger. Okay, forget that. But then he's holding her there and he does the second finger to her eye. I remember as a kid being so impressed by this film and just having it constantly on my mind that in 6th grade, they were doing some kind of presentation. I was so zoned out and just thinking about this film, and I took a pencil and I had it like just thinking about this scene and had it like close to my eye and just imagining that I was in that scene, imagining that I was Sarah Connor and he was like, or I was somebody and the T-1000 had me. And I remember one of my classmates, a girl, raising her hand and complaining to the teacher. I didn't know it until she said my name. She said, "Elijah's putting his pencil really close to his eye and it's scaring me." And I went, holy shit. I didn't realize I was freaking out other people. I was totally zoned out in my own world, just in this world of film, and just like, she fucking told on me. And I remember that, telling one on myself. This metal pole, when the T-1000 comes back and stops him from killing Sarah at that moment, and this metal pole goes through like half of the T-1000's body, and the T-1000 pulls it out of himself, and then attacks the T-800, Arnold, attacks him with it. I saw a quick clip that Robert Patrick did this interview. He said, "I accidentally hit Arnold one time. I was using that pole and striking. I was supposed to strike next to him, and at one point I hit Arnold, and he said he took it like a champ. And we continued and we continued. And after the scene, he said, "You know, you hit me, Robert. You hit me." Wow. And they just kept going, and they left it in the film that Robert Patrick actually hit Arnold one time with that fucking pole. Like, I don't know how real the pole was, but ow. Like, ow. So, in this version, the director's version, where we see the T-1000 malfunctioning, when Sarah saves John and John reluctantly leaves Sarah. Sarah's on her own, gets confronted by the T-1000. T-800 stops him. T-1000 stops the Terminator and then calls to John. You hear Sarah calling to John, calling to John, calling to John. John shows up and here's Sarah hurt. But then another Sarah pops up behind, and you don't know which is which. Okay. In the original, you kind of just have to accept that the aggressive Sarah is the real Sarah. The vulnerable Sarah is not the real Sarah. And you just kind of accept that, and you see John go get out of the way so that the aggressive Sarah can shoot the vulnerable Sarah. In the director's version, because we've established that the T-1000 is malfunctioning, John looks down at her feet, and her feet are melted into the grade. And he obviously knows this is not the real Sarah. This is the T-1000. And so that's why he gets out of the way. I appreciate that more. Not that I want to say John is dumb, but that we have to take too much of a leap as the audience in the director's version to go, okay, well, the aggressive one, he realizes the aggressive one is how his mom is, and the vulnerable one is not how his mom is. We have to take that leap as the audience, whereas the director's version, we know exactly why he's like, oh yeah, this is not my mom. This is definitely the Terminator, because it part of it is melted into the grade, what he's standing on, the grading. Anyway, I appreciate the director's version part of that. That Sarah almost kills him, but then runs out of bullets. I love it. How rare do we get to see a gun run out of bullets in a film? Like, it's just endless bullets. And here we get to see the gun run out of bullets. I love it. It's great. It's a great shift to what we're used to. And then the T-800 has to rescue them. Love it. Yes. You know, that's what we want. We want Arnold to save the day. I need a vacation. I feel like that all the time. I wish I had a shirt, a Terminator shirt that said, I need a vacation, and he's all tore up or something like that, you know. I just love that sentiment, and I feel like I should say that often at work. I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do. So, I talked about how the scene earlier in the film is so important for this scene, for a scene later in the film. This is it. When we've built so much great chemistry between the Terminator and John Connor, such sentiment, when we've shown that we've switched from a non-learning computer to a learning computer, in the director version, we've shown we've switched that. Now here, the Terminator has now figured out why humans cry and acknowledges it's something he can never do. Not that he won't feel it, but that he cannot do it. What a beautiful scene. How emotional and wonderful and fantastic that scene is. And then also the handshake that's initiated by Sarah Connor. like an olive branch, like reaching out, like not just physically reaching out, but emotionally reaching out, and in thanking him. And it's the Terminator, but everything she's been through, and she still extends the hand to shake his hand. I love it. I love that sentiment. I love that feeling. That I love the thumbs up at the end as he's going down. I have a tank top that has that. I have a tank top that has that visual with him on fire and the thumbs up, but it says I'm okay, and I constantly hear the A Bug's Life, I'm okay. When he runs into the stone and he's like, I'm okay. That's how I hear that shirt. It's like, I'm okay. So last note, long note, kind of long note. Last note is, remember in the book it said, is there anything about the end you would change? Yes, there was something about the end I would change. Here it is. When the Terminator goes down and he gets melted, and we see that, and it goes to the screen goes black. It's the computer screen, and it goes to a zip and black. I feel like you never should have shown another visual again. It should have been done. Now, there are multiple ways to do that, because this line by Sarah at the end is still insanely important. You can't cut it. Because if a machine, a Terminator, can learn the value of a human life, maybe we can too. Far too important to cut that out. You don't cut that out. That whole line at the end. You can't. So there are two ways to do this. One, you do it, you show his hand going down, not completely out, but going down. You flash back to her. She has her line. And then you go to the Terminator out. And you end it. Credits. Music first, then credits. That's one way to do it. Not quite the way I would do it if I were the director. I feel that feels a little wrong. A little not flowy. Not flowy. Doesn't flow right. How I would do it. Terminator goes down. Thumbs down. Thumbs down. You do it exactly like that. The computer screen fluctuates. Goes down. Goes out. We have black. We take a beat or two. Make the audience think it's over. Then we hear Sarah say what she has to say. But no more visuals. Please, God, please, no more visuals. We are done. Have her say what she has to say. Then when she's done, take a beat and then bump, 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 bump. And then the music and then the credits. That's how, if I were doing it, that's how I would have done it. I think the zip out, the computer zip out, and then extra visuals doesn't feel right to me in the film. Doesn't feel right. Zip out should have been done with the visuals, and then have her monologue, and then the credits, and the music and the credits. But that's just my opinion. I love these two movies. These two movies are great. Sorry these reviews were a little long. 140 and 208, 210 probably by the time I'm done. Love these movies. These movies are great. I'm not going to review the other ones. I do have other, I could talk about all these, day in, day out. They all have something that I would like to say about them, but these two in particular, absolutely wonderful. I have the posters, both posters for both films in my house. I have multiple shirts for both of them. Terminator 1, Terminator 2. Wonderful films. Thank you, James Cameron. Thank you, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Thank you, Linda Hamilton. Just wow. I will get the review of the Terminator posted in the next day or two. I will get the review of Terminator 2. This one posted in a few days because I want to space them out, even though I recorded them literally back to back tonight. Thank you very much for listening. I literally now have only 3 more challenges left until I complete the book. After that, I can do whatever I want. I can review whatever I want. So I only have 3 more. What are those 3? You will find out soon. I will get you more soon. Thank you for listening and talk to you soon.